Hey everyone, it's me, Donna. Okay, I'm making this video because um, I recently, took a DNA test and I'm waiting on it to come back maybe within a few weeks, hopefully, if everything goes okay. Um, so in the meantime, I thought I would go back to a company where I had uploaded my raw DNA, and I believe it was my 23andMe raw DNA. And I had opened up, I believe it was like a year to a few years ago, I had opened up, I paid to open up a little feature that they had at that time to see what it said. And of course, I wasn't too impressed at that time with what it showed me, but I digress. I'll show you what I'm talking about now. Okay, and the company that I am referring to is Genomelink. Um, it's the one that I had uploaded my raw DNA from 23andMe. And initially, you get stuff for free, like you get to see a few things about your DNA and all that. Um, Even stuff like this that talk about like your, you know, things that are going on, like your tolerance to this and tolerance to that and all that type of stuff. And of course, if you want to know more, you would have to buy extra. But the thing I was mostly interested in was the reports. And initially, I bought this report right here called the Ancient Ancestry Report. And this is what I got. And mind you, this has been a few years ago. I was pretty disappointed because what it gave me was hunter-gatherers, 12%, first farmers, 32%, steppe pastorals, 47%, and South Asian, 9%. And it pretty much told you like the navigation patterns of your ancestors and all that type of stuff. But I won't bore you with all that. But anyway, let me go back to reports. All right. But now they have updated their whole system. They've added a bunch of new stuff that is pretty cool. Even over here, they've got the like a person's British and Irish stuff. You can buy stuff about that and find out more about that. And I'm interested in that as far as the future goes, because I've made a video a while back about, I think it was My True Ancestry, if I'm not mistaken. I had uploaded my raw DNA to there and got a free report, and it talked about my connections to ancient people such as like Vikings and British people and just different European people, even people in the Americas who come from Europe. Uh, some of the earliest people where they found the remains. I matched a few people here and there, Scandinavians, all that type of stuff. I found that to be really interesting. But of course, even on there, if you want to know more, you have to pay more. So maybe in the future, these are definitely things that I'm interested in and I want to pursue it further. But right now, I just went ahead and I paid for the Global Ancestry Report and an Indigenous American Report. Okay, so we'll start with the Global Ancestry. And to my shock and surprise, wow. Uh, they really hit the nail on the head as far as the different ethnicity pieces that I have. Uh, and I want to state this again. Um, Different companies report things in different ways. Some companies might report you as having, say, Punjabi. Another company might say that no, it's Pakistani or some other thing. Whereas other companies, they can break down both of them and say you've got both or none or whatever. So it just depends on the company and their control panel or reference panel that they use to compare you to, their programs, their calculations, formulas, all that type of stuff. So a lot plays into that. But still, it's really cool when you keep finding DNA pop up from one test to the other. Uh, even if it's scattered out here, scattered out there. And again, some companies might call it this, another company might call it that. But as long as it's close enough, as long as there's something within your DNA that triggers it, you've got something in your alleles, something in your admixture that triggers it to say that at least there is something within a certain area, then you know you're onto something. So don't just dismiss it just because you thought you were British and Irish, or you thought you were 100% African, and you take one of these tests and then you find out that you've got quite a bit, because there's millions of us out there with all kinds of stuff. Because the world has had an interesting past. I mean, there's no getting around it. But of course, some people, they're happy with being 100% this or 100% that, and that's great. That's wonderful. But a lot of us aren't. We just got a little bit of everything, and people need to wake up to that reality. So just because you take an Ancestry.com test and it tells you you're 100% British, and then you go and take all these other tests and find out, no, that's not it. Don't just dismiss those. And, I mean, I can understand, like, for the immediate stuff, if, say, 4 generations or 5 generations back, it is 100% British, then that's great. But still, there might be stuff beyond that. And that's what some of these companies are focusing on, is the smaller pieces that are beyond your 4th and 5th great grandparent. Okay. So there may be stuff beyond that. So just be aware of that potential. Okay. But some people will have that, some people won't. So whatever. But anyway, this company told me that I have Northwestern European at 36%, 22% Eastern European, 18% Iberian, which is Spanish and Portuguese, 11% Italian, 7% Near East, 2% Scandinavian, 1% North African, 1% Dravidian, which is South Asian, 1% mainland East Asian, 1% East African, 1% West African, 1% Austronesian, 1% Arctic, 1% Balkan, 1% Maritime East Asian, and 1% West Asian. Okay, so here's all these different places where I have pieces of DNA. Let me go back up. For instance, this Arctic Indian up here, American Indian, and also Greenland and all that, that stuff lines up with what I have found on GEDmatch. Let me go to it. Let's see. American and the Arctic. Okay, it shows up right here. And let's see. And Arctic American Indian as well. And also, as I have mentioned before in the past, I also match a man that from 4,000 years ago who was an Eskimo from Greenland. They found parts of his hair, a big, ball of his hair that had, pieces of his scalp and skin tissue and all that in it. And they were able to do his DNA. And as it turns out, I actually match him. And so when I do this now, before, when GEDmatch would let you go down all the way down to I believe it was 0.5 centimorgans, I had like a whole bunch of pieces of DNA that matched him. But then when they set it up to where it would not go below 3 centimorgans, so, your piece can't measure below 3 centimorgans, I match him on 6 segments of my DNA. Okay, and then right here it shows the SMP numbers, and there's even parts where I'm like at 100% or 100 SNPs on my 19th chromosome, and then 70 on that same piece, on that, or shall I say, it's another segment on the same chromosome. Let's put it that way. But I've got 70 SNPs on that, and then 86 on the 14th, and all that. Again, I'm no scientist. I don't know a lot about this stuff. I just know little bits and pieces here, and I try to learn as I go. So, but still, to me, that's not bad, especially considering that this man is ancient. And so, yeah, and to know that I match him and that I've got kinship. And also, I want to show you guys, like, that, you know, which I've made other videos about it, where you can go on GEDmatch and compare yourself to all these remains, ancient remains of people from all over the world. And I've got, you know, quite a big bunch of hits from Russia, and also I've got Sweden, so many places, and it's just amazing. Sweden, yeah, I mean, Switzerland, you name it. Like, it's just amazing to be able to compare yourself to all these ancient remains and everything. But anyway, getting back to the thing, as I said, you know, this stuff is matching up to these other DNA tests. For instance, CRI genetics. It's showing me as having not only European, especially on an ancient level. I've got Iberian, just like with this other, Italian, and then the British and all that, as well as South Asian. It's got me having Punjabi, Bengali, Gujarati Indian, Sri Lankan, Tamil. Add mixtures of American Indian, Colombian, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Peruvian, also East Asian, Chinese Day, Japanese, Southern Han, and Vietnamese. So I find it interesting that it definitely matches up, even though, which I will show you my my other American Indian report that this company offers besides this. But as far as they're concerned, you know, my American Indian is mostly going to be Austronesian, as well as the Arctic Indian, okay, on this particular model, okay. But, I mean, this is just amazing. I love the fact that they've got this globe. I love the graphics of it. I mean, this is so cool. And I was blown away. So, as far as I'm concerned, this measures up. I mean, it's just funny that, you know, 23andMe cannot show me this stuff, but yet I can download the raw DNA to these other companies, and it pops right up. For instance, when I go to my own report, that 23 has reduced it down to, and trust me, when I first took a 23andMe test, my results were pretty cool. Even though it didn't have my American Indian or my any of my East Asian and stuff like that, it did have my African. It had my Angolian, not Anagolian, and Angolian and Congolese. Maybe I can speak right here in a minute. But anyway, it had that, okay? I thought that was good, that it at least showed that part up. But this company is showing up other stuff that's showing up like on GEDmatch and all that, where it talks about my other pieces of African. And, you know, that's interesting because for the most part, because me and my cousins have been talking, and we're, you know, because some of my other cousins also have African as well, and we come from some of the same ancestors, and I do have documented Black ancestors, okay? So I know that I've got some of this from them, okay? But some of them have like the Eastern African, and I'm showing up West African on 23andMe. So we're, you know, we both took the 23andMe test, but they picked up the East African and I picked up the West African on there. But in reality, I probably have pieces of both because it's showing up in this test and it's also showing up in other areas. Let me see if this right here, on GEDmatch. And this is with my 23andMe raw DNA. It's showing different pieces, South African. It's even showing that, as well as my Sub-Saharan, which has to do with my Congolese. Let's see, and I believe there was another piece up here. It will show it. Oh, Pygmy, which is North African. Interesting. You go back, there's North African right here. And when I go to my helix, let me find it. Where are you, helix? Right here. It also shows my North African. Of course, it labels it as Persian, but there's definitely something about my alleles and my admixture that is triggering some of these companies to give me different forms of North African for whatever reason. But there's definitely something to it. So if you have a problem with people having different, a person from one ethnic group having different ethnic groups in their background, well, maybe this video ain't for you, because this is reality. Does this change my skin color? No. I'm white as a ghost. It does not change, okay? So I am aware of that. So I don't have to be informed of that by anyone on here. So yeah. But it's there, and it is a part of my ancestry, and I do have every right to claim it and document it and, research it and all that. And so if you have a problem with that, then maybe you don't need to be watching my videos, okay? If you're just going to troll, maybe you need to go somewhere else, okay? But anyway, let me go back. But what's pretty cool and interesting, even more about this program, or this particular aspect of this company, is it actually shows you on chromosomes where you match these different ethnic groups. So I thought, wow, this is so cool. This is so interesting, because then I can kind of compare this back and forth with my GEDmatch, because on GEDmatch you can show a painting, your DNA painting, kind of like this, except it looks different. It's got your DNA pieces showing in peaks and like mounds and peaks in it, and it's kind of cool. But yeah, it's just so neat when companies actually offer this. That's something that I'm very interested in. That way I can pinpoint it right on my chromosomes. Okay. And then also you can click on this and you can go to your ethnics page, where it shows and it tells you on that page, it tells you what where you match at, like where you have all this stuff at on your chromosomes. Okay. Let me go on down. The Balkan, it shows you shared within one chromosome on there. It's on chromosome 9. And then on chromosome 20 on that, Maritime East Asian. Okay. All right, and then this is other people that, whether you do or you don't, it still shows them on here. And you can kind of check that out and learn more about that. Okay, so, all right. So whatever it tells you, that's what you actually do. Okay, let's see here. And I'm shared within 22 chromosomes. Okay. So, all right. The lit up areas is where you've got the most, and the darker is where you've got the less. Okay. All right, and then the Scandinavian right here, it's on my 9th chromosome at 50%. So it's a strong piece, but they've got it listed on one chromosome. Okay. Cool. Okay, let me go back to this one. Okay, it's shared within. So I've just got little bitty pieces all scattered out, which I noticed that even on my GEDmatch, when they do the chromosome painting, it's like all scattered out, but it's shared on a bunch of my chromosomes. It's and I've also showed it in other videos where like my West Asian, because it's mostly listed as like West Asian and then like some South Asian or whatever, and it's like it's just all embedded in my different pieces of chromosome, but I guess it's considered as like less, like say like 3%, 2% or whatever, but it is all scattered out within there. So yeah, that's kind of interesting to actually see that on this. So let's see. And then the East African. Okay, so that's on my 4th chromosome. Okay, at 2%. All right. And then the West African, let me look at that. And if I'm not logged out of 23andMe, let's see, they've got it on my 4th chromosome, and I think that's where it's at on my 23andMe. But and I also noticed back before they did all these updates that there were little bitty, itty, teeny, tiny pieces also on my chromosome browser in other spots as well. But then those have disappeared, and they've just put it in one spot on 23andMe when they did those updates. Let me go back and look. Okay, and I bet it's probably logged me out, but let me see if I can find my, let's see, go to all reports up here. Just bear with me, folks. Okay, see all the different reports. Where is that at? Overview. It's probably where I need to go. Let me see if I can find the painting right here. DNA painting. Okay. Right here. Yep, on my 4th chromosome. Hot diggity dog. So yeah. So 23andMe has it labeled on my 4th chromosome, and like I said, they were different pieces of it scattered out in the past. So that's my Congolese. So now I know that they're definitely on the right track, and it matches up. Oops, let me go back to it. So yeah, on my 4th chromosome. Okay, cool. That is so awesome. Okay, I'm really, really liking this. Wow. I'm going to get off here because I'm going to get caught up too much into this. But as far as comparing this company, let me go back to that. I'm very pleased. I'm not shocked as far as what I found, because it's not anything new that hasn't popped up and some of the good reports that I've gotten, because this does show up on different models on GEDmatch. Some of this stuff does show up on Helix. The other stuff does show up on CRI Genetics. So, and even on, for instance, MyHeritage. Did I get it on here? Where is it at? It's even got like my Greek and South Italian on it, and then my Middle Eastern as well. It's popped up on that. So it's just, different pieces popping up. And before I go, let me go over here and do the Indigenous Report. Okay. It's got me having 1% Central America, which has to do with Mexico, and then these also what you share maybe with these islands and all that region, as far as from what I understand, the Central American Indian. So that would encompass that. But as far as this company goes, they've got me targeted right in here. Also, the Central Plains and Woodlands. I'm kind of wondering if that don't kind of include the Inuit that I've got, as well as maybe other stuff. And then also the Southern Andes, part of South America. The interesting part is that on CRI Genetics, it's got me being connected up to like, well, let me go right here. Colombian and Peru. So, I mean, it's close enough. I mean, this stuff is kind of, it may not be perfect. It may not be labeled exactly as this, that, or the other, but at least it's close enough to where I'm like, okay, at least it's somewhere within that range. And it is of some help to me as far as like doing my tree and then just trying to find stuff out. and learning what I can. So, I mean, that's not bad. Let me see. And as far as this right here, also I have mentioned, I believe that my sixth great grandfather is Chief Atakulakula. Okay, he told that he was kidnapped from the Nipissing tribe, which is up near Canada and on into Canada. He was kidnapped as a baby. Of course, they torched their village or whatever, and they took him and raised him as Cherokee. So he became a Cherokee chief when he grew up, and all that. But he always told, from what I've understood, that he was actually kidnapped from this tribe, and so that tribe is linked up to the Inuit people. Like, they have ancestors from the Inuits mixed in with other stuff. Okay, so I feel like that's probably where I got that from. I mean, that's just my belief on that. As far as, let me go back over here. Okay, as far as this goes, when it loads up, okay, this Austronesian, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm not, but some people list it as Polynesian, some people, list it as Taiwanese, and a few other things, because it's all linked up to all these islands out here in the Pacific and in southern eastern oceans of Asia. Anyway, Chief Atakulakula's wife, Neone, her ancestors, from what I have been told, came from this region. And they ended up having mixes when they came to America. They ended up mixing in with other Native Americans as well as Africans and all that. So, there's all kinds of mixes of that. And so that's probably where that came from. If I had to guess, that's, that to me, that would be the logical place for that to come from. As far as my Japanese that keeps popping up and my Chinese, I don't know exactly where that comes from. I did notice on CRI Genetics, when I go to the timeline, I'm listed as having I believe it's a 10th great grandparent who is Japanese. So I don't know if that's linked in through her or if that's linked in because she is my 6th great grandparent. So if there was something 4 generations above her where I had, a great grandparent, that passed it down, or if it came in from some other way. I don't know. I haven't found this person yet, so I don't know. And the buck pretty much stops with her a generation or 2 above her, so I don't know any more than that. So that's as far as I know about that. And the same thing with the Chinese. I don't know where my Chinese ancestors come in, even though as far as CRI Genetics, they can trace, they are able to trace me as having an ancestor all the way back from 2,000 years ago being Chinese. So they definitely can say that I had a Chinese ancestor from 2,000 years ago. I know this is more recent for it to be still being passed down and to get to me. I feel like maybe around the 10th great grandparent mark, I may have a Chinese ancestor as well. But because CRI Genetics, which is this other company right here, they have to be 80% sure. Let me show you the timeline. Okay, they have to be 80% sure that you have something before they will even put it on their timeline. So let's just say they're 79% sure that I have a Chinese ancestor from 10 generations ago. They're not going to put it on their timeline. So that's kind of sad. I kind of hope that changes in the future, that maybe they'll go down to like maybe 50 or 60%. If there's 60%, 50 or 60% sure that you have an ancestor, that hopefully they will start adding that to the timeline, because I think, if they can get to where they're 50 or 60% sure, I think it's pretty safe to say that it's more than likely a chance that it's true. I mean, as good as these companies are and as accurate as they're getting, I will take a chance on betting that they're right about that. I did find my South Asian or an a South Asian ancestor. If I can spit that out right, I finally found at least one South Asian ancestor by looking at my CRI genetics timeline. I went, because I have quite a few South Asian ancestors, is what it's showing me, because they've got me at a higher percentage of having South Asian. I at least found one of them around that the timeline. Let's see, where was it? I done forgot exactly where it was, but anyway, it was a Gujarati Indian person. So I feel like there's more, because it does have, more people on it. So somewhere along the way, maybe I will stumble across them. I think one of them may be the partner of the person that I found, but I just haven't gotten that information. I don't know, any more than what I have found out right now. But at least I've gotten that far. So I know that's got to be true, because it keeps popping up and I'm stumbling on these people. Okay. The East Asian, it could be mixed up in with this for all I know. I don't know for sure. And some companies are even claiming that I have Jewish. So I don't know. I just don't know where all this plays in, but maybe one day I will find out more. But I just want to kind of show you that, there's a lot of truth to this, regardless of what other people might say or whatever. And you can choose to either accept it and go check it out or dismiss it. I mean, it's up to you, but anyway, I just wanted to share this and to compare this company to other, and of course, let me go right here to, right here. Of course, this is my Ancestry DNA test, and of course, the Sweden and all that stuff is showing up, as well as the British and all that. But see, they lack showing the rest of the story. I mean, this only goes back to like 4th or 5th great grandparents, and there's a lot more to the story. So I just wish one day that this company will catch up and realize that they have a pretty good doggone market out there for people that want to go deeper than just their current ancestry, and that they can open that up and just say, look, we're only maybe 50% sure that this is accurate, and it's up to you to decide for yourself if you believe it or not. But we're going to include this, and it, maybe charge a one-time fee, because I don't like subscriptions. A lot of these subscriptions are just ridiculously high, and I just don't think you get your money's worth. So in my opinion, just offer a one-time fee and open that up so that people can look deeper if they want to, and maybe add more stuff, like add an actual timeline instead of the crappy crap that they've got, I don't know, maybe some people can call this a timeline. I don't. At first they had something better than this, but now it's just got real crappy. And they don't have a chromosome browser. They need to add that. So, I just feel like there's more that this company can do to catch up with these other companies that are adding a lot more. So anyway, I'm going to shut up and get off here, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.